Hello, everybody. Matt Mentley here with the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast video show that nobody asked for. We're going to go through our favorite moments, our favorite quotes, our favorite characters. And to do it with me in season 9, I know her, you know her, we all love her, Betsy Hayes. Betsy, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Matt?
Great. You got a great setup there.
Yes.
You look pro with the headphones. You got the comedy club behind you.
Wait. Peep it.
Heavy breathing. Looks good.
Now I'm frozen. Great.
No. We're good. So you did season 3 with me, or season 4, one of the early ones. You did not keep up with it, or you've watched smatterings of it, right?
I think I've watched it pretty much all the way through. I don't know. I still don't know them as well as you do.
Yeah. Let's get on to it. Season 9. Here we go. I love this first episode. The gang broke D because Betsy and I, we met in UCB. We did the stand-up thing for about a dozen times there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is a perfect one for us to dive into. Do you agree?
I love this episode. It just makes sense that they would do this because of all the shit that they've put D through, and finally,
yes.
It's so nice to see what would happen in this universe, you know, if she finally was just fed up. And that's exactly what we got.
Yes, and it's the balance of the group, right? The group has a little ecosystem of their own going. Mm-hmm. D gets angry. Dennis controls everything. Charlie keeps the bar clean, and like they have all have their little roles going. And when D breaks that role by basically, well, I always love the first shot of the first episode of new seasons. And for this one, we get a wonderful Caitlin Olsen shot.
Yeah, the first scene is pretty fantastic. She just eating cake that Charlie
threw out
in the trash, and they just keep. What's funny to me about this scene is that she has heard every joke, right?
Yes.
She's like, "What, like a bird? I'm like a bird." And the guys still keep trying to make the bird joke, and they never are like, maybe we should think of something else. No, they just are. They're doubling down on their fucking bird jokes, and you're like, it's so sad.
They roll out. They keep the hits coming. That's for sure. You're right. They don't. And the gang is getting upset with her because she's stepping on their punchlines.
Right. With this, which is not like it's hard.
Bird. Right.
Oh, like a bird. Wow, that's so funny. I just feel, I think D, when I first started watching the show, my sister was watching it, and I sort of had a side glance at what was going on, and I hated Dee's character. I thought she was so annoying, and I was like, oh, the woman in this is terrible. But now that I've watched it, I think Dee is probably one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character.
That's what happened to me as well. I never really paid attention to Dee. I was always on the guy's side. When she would speak, it would be like, shut up, we don't care about your thing. And I'd be like, good, yes, get Dee out of here. But you're right, rewatching this, I have like this appreciation for Caitlin Olsen now. Because that first scene, she looks so pathetic. She's drinking this brown liquor just straight out of the bottle. And she's done. She's had it with the guys. She's not going to fight back anymore. And which kicks off this episode because she's not fighting back. The guys are getting upset because they don't have their little whipping boy anymore to pick on.
Yeah. So they devise plans, which, what do you think about these plans? Because they seem to not really make any sense.
I will say, let's just go. We'll reveal the end at the end or whatever and pick apart that part of it. But we start out, so they sign Dee up for a comedy thing, right? She goes on stage. She acts depressed. She does this whole shtick of just like breathing heavily as the text says behind you, breathing heavily. But I have, heavy breathing. I think she's really funny. She's getting laughs. And
yeah, that's the whole thing, is that every other time that she's done stand-up, she just gets so afraid and starts dry heaving. That this is because she just so doesn't care.
yeah.
She's so over it that she actually is funny, which is why we probably were never good at stand-up comedy. It's so hard to have that make sense.
To get that out of your head. And right, finally, Charlie actually says it in a way. He's like, you're right on that line of suicidal, not quite. Most comedians thrive in it.
I just thought that was so... just for the people who made the show, I'm sure that hit home for them as well.
It was, so I will say she is, if I saw that at an open mic, I'm just saying I would have laughed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's legitimately good. D, we'll get to it too, incorporate sound effects. She even grows as a comic during this time.
She does. And Lewis pointed out, or we were watching it together, and I knew he was going to like this episode because he's also such a big fan of comedy. And the sound effects when they're in the what looks like the Comedy Store, when she's doing the opening act, and she just starts doing noises, saying vagina, basically just the most lowbrow comedy.
Yeah.
And it's working. And Dennis's point is like, this is comedy?
Right.
And it's like, yes, but also no. I feel like they both, like, I could see how that would get a lot of laughs, but then I could also see a more like highbrow comedian being like, oh, dude, that's not comedy.
That's true. That's true. It works both ways because it is legit. It makes me laugh.
Yeah, which is why it works.
Yeah, exactly. So she gets an agent right off the bat, right? Like the fact that she didn't think there was something wrong, but of course, I mean, it's D, so of course she's like dumb. But this agent comes along, says I can do it, bangs him right away.
Oh, so fast. So she doesn't wait at all.
Did she even look at this guy at a website or other representation or anything?
I mean, when Dennis finds out that she's banging him, she mentions that he got her a gig. So it's possible he got her a gig and then she hopped in this act. You know?
Gotcha. I mean, I guess, but very little research went in on D's part. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, she's not much. She doesn't do that, you know.
So yeah, she gets this agent. Dennis gets it stuck in his head. He wants to find a mate for her.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like they both the group devised like a plan. Half of it was get her into comedy because it'll make her feel better.
It'll get her self-esteem up, but we really know that it was the guys planned all that.
Right. But then Dennis was like, I'm going to find her a man to get her out of this slump, which I guess as far as their relationship goes, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And they go to her as a group and they're like, what should we do? And she's like, I don't care. All of it. But the guys are like, okay, let's split off. Let's split off then. So they split off. Dennis tries to find a man. He goes to her apartment, finds out she's banging the gross like agent guy, and he's like, she's like, I really like him. And Dennis goes, what do you like about him specifically? She goes, he has all of his skin still.
Some good teeth. What does she say about his teeth?
I only have the skin line.
Well, right after that, she's like, and you know, some good teeth. Not all of it. No, not all of them.
So this gross guy. I mean, good for the guy. You know, he's getting some.
What I wanted to mention about that guy is he was on like Disney Channel or something.
He's like a character actor that's all over the place. I recognize him from
right, and he's always that sloppy, naked man. That's like the role that he was born to play.
What a career. I have D. They go to the bigger club or whatever, not the open mic that you have behind you. Maybe modeled around the Comedy Store, as he said. And she does a set. She incorporates her sound effects. She's like ripping things out of her vagina. It's great. What do you think? What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love at the end of her and Dennis's exchange when he finds out she's banging the dude
Yeah.
that she starts going,
Yeah.
and he's like, "What? What is that?" She's
Do
doing
not do
sound effects now. She's like,
do not do it. Do not do sound effects, Steve.
I mean, she nails them. I think she's pretty good at sound effects.
What do you think of Landslide? That's a funny white bitch right there. I'm taking dumps bigger than her. That's a landslide.
I don't think that would not be my type of comedian. I'll be honest. They were like,
Oh,
he
we
does a lot
find
of
out
diarrhea jokes. He's not. He's like the janitor or a garbage man.
Garbage man.
So
it kind of. I once again, I thought it was funny, but it's like funny for 2 seconds or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. It's like funny in this context, but
it worked for the bit.
Yes.
I think he was a good pairing for Dee's comedy, though. Actually, yes. I mean, that worked.
It definitely worked.
If you're into hers, you're gonna be into his.
Right. Dennis wants control. Like, that's Dennis's motif. That's his game or whatever. Like, he wants control of the group, and he is losing his mind. He brings around this guy named Walt, who he's trying to push on him. He's like, this is a very normal man, a very average man, a very below average man.
I love that every time he introduces him, talks, and then Walt's like, I'm Walt. He's like, they know who you are. Yeah. They know your name.
Shut up, Walt. They know who you are.
Walt. They know your name.
He literally says at the end of that little speech, he's like, and then I'll have control over her again.
Like, I always will.
Yeah, and Charlie's like, what? He's like, never mind.
Walt's the plan.
Walt's the plan, right?
Walt's the plan. Would you say, in terms of Dennis's controllingness, was there a turning point in, like, the whole, or is there not, like, one episode where you were like, wow, they're really going for it? Because I feel like this one, they kind of hit it on the head. Right. Like, when he said that, I was like, oh, shit. What? That's crazy.
I guess we already know his thing with women. We already know that there's some sort of weird, he likes to get women out on the boat and have control. And, you know, like, we already know that there's a lot of creepy stuff going on with him, possibly psychopathic behavior. So probably control lands in there somewhere. And yes, it does get even worse going forward, his control over the group and the games he plays with the group to make sure everybody's doing what he wants them to do.
Right. But there wasn't like a turning point. It's kind of just progressively.
No, it's pretty slow. I'd say with all of the characters, that's the beauty of the show, is like, it's been around for so long and they kind of figure out their characters as they move along the show.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things that I wrote down.
Yeah.
is the line that I just love Caitlin Olsen. Some of her lines are just so great. The one where Dennis first presents his pics.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's just like one big chin.
He's showing her pictures or whatever. Yeah. He's like, well, this is the best. These are the best. They're not great, but for you.
Oh my God. I just love some of her one-liners are great.
They go backstage and she's ignoring them. So the guys just Dennis just starts going
D da D da
da da da da da.
This is the turning point in the episode, and I was like, oh no, Dee's gonna fuck this up.
Oh, right.
Just like she always does. I kind of thought she was on a good path, and then she just completely...
It was exciting for a moment there.
Yeah. Lewis was like, yeah, I mean, no, she's going to become famous, and then the show's over. And I was like, that's a good point.
They got to do something. So the guys actually are helping. They're like organizing some fan club, or maybe probably not, actually, now that I think about it. That's all... Frank's just paying all those people to be there.
Yeah.
Uh, but so we,
What a waste of fucking money.
well, okay, so let's dive into this. It's revealed that this was all a ruse, that they paid everybody. Okay, what my one nitpick about it, just right off the bat, is she gets to Conan. Okay, she gets a new agent. She wants to bang him. They fly around in a plane for a couple hours. Dee like practices her whole shtick. She's on the plane, like practicing her sound effects or whatever.
Yep.
They land, and it's supposed to be Conan, and they have a clip at the beginning introducing her with Conan's
voice.
How did they get Conan's voice?
That's
How did they get
the
this
same
club?
thought that I had.
How did she not notice it was the same people coming to each show? I mean, there's a lot of holes in.
There's a lot of loopholes. I mean, the main thing is that what's his face? The other comedian was a garbage man. And yeah, they had a bunch of people at a comedy club. That would cost so much money that Frank can't possibly be as good of a businessman as they say he is.
I don't know. As we'll see in the second episode, it seems like he runs a lot of schemes pretty often.
Oh yeah, true.
But yeah, it was a little far-fetched, and then eventually she breaks and she gets all fucking pissed again, and everything's back to normal. The ecosystem is saved.
How did you feel about her freak out? Did you think it was? I thought it should have been bigger.
Yeah, well, she rips down the curtains.
Yeah, no wonder the group loves fucking with her so much, because her mania is so. I just love it.
It is fun to see a good D freak out. And then we kind of see, so Dennis is not in on this at all. And they're like, Mac's like, the funny thing is Dennis isn't even in on it. He's like, I wasn't. And then he leaves, and they're like, we might have broke Dennis. And Mac's like, he might go kill himself.
I know, he just casually throws that in there.
That's the last line of the episode. He might go kill himself gleefully.
Well, and before he said that, he's talking to Dee about, you're talking about killing yourself, and you just took it too far. Okay.
Some things you just can't joke about.
But, and then I wrote A+. I thought that was a great episode.
This was pretty good. So this is the first one. FX splits off into FXX for this season.
Oh.
So this is the first episode where it's FXX. And I noticed this is when people start to kind of jump off watching the show consistently. I'm an insane fan. I'll watch it on FXX and I'll do whatever. But when you split channels like that, it does hurt a flagship show like this.
Yeah.
So the ratings were cut in half, and they haven't ever really recovered, unfortunately. Damn. But which sucks, because the show is still good. So let's get to the awards. Betsy, what do you think? Who won the episode? I mean, it's called The Gang Broke D. D is pretty phenomenal during this. We talked about Caitlin Olsen quite a bit. I don't know if it's a competition here.
It would be hard not to pick D.
Yeah.
As the winner, because she just got so royally fucked. It's incredible the lengths they will go to be mean to this woman.
It is.
And she stays. So here's the thing. Not only can she she tolerates it she could leave. She tried to leave,
correct.
but she sticks around. I think she kind of likes it.
Exactly. She's part of the group. There is, and this comes about in other episodes as well. She wants to be part. She feels like she's a part of something.
Right.
Right. She's part of the gang. She's part of the group. They make fun of her, but it's at least I got people around me. It's a little sad.
I was gonna say, the amount of money and effort and planning, that's a lot to put into somebody that you don't care about as well.
Well, do they? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Best quote. I mean, all of his skin still is great. We just cracked up at that one. I'll have control over her, Dennis. Da, 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 dee, da, dee, da, da.
That bit went on for quite a while. She really ignored them for a long time.
I was getting annoyed.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, God damn it, D. I started doing it. Da.
What did you, I mean, we could do any of the jokes that D had. You know, I can't even get a bus to hit on me. It was pretty great.
I
Any of
think the first
landslide
time she
stuff?
said it was great when she was in the bar and she was still just
Right,
being miserable.
right. And
I
then
was
she
like,
used
oh, that's a joke. Good job, D.
it. Didn't you have a line that you
Did I?
liked?
Oh, it's just one big chin.
That one's good too. I don't know. So, what does any of these stand out specifically for you?
All of his skin. So, name things specifically that you find attractive. He has all of his skin. That's kind of the
He
lowest you
has
can
all of
go
his
with that kind
skin.
of thing.
He has all of his skin still. She says still. Okay, so there you go.
That's
Boom.
it. That's it.
Beautiful. That one wins. D gets the sweep, as rightfully she should. Wackiness scale 1 to 5. This isn't too wacky of an episode.
No, it's definitely a little inconceivable.
It is.
But for this group, they can, the depths that they will go to ruin Dee's life. Now we know that there is none.
Now we know how dark it is. Just don't joke about suicide,
Yeah, true.
The guys are sensitive about it. So yeah, I'll put it at a 2 in the wackiness scale.
That's
So
what I was thinking. That's what
Yeah,
I was thinking.
Not too whacked out. So there you go. D gets the sweep, and we are done with episode 1. Beautiful. Up next, Gun Fever 2, still hot. Betsy, any last words before we sign off?
Stay tuned. We got more coming.
All right, sounds good. We'll catch you on the next one, gang.